On the morning of August 13th, 2019, Diana Renner set off alone for the mountains. After a long week of work, she wanted some time to clear her head. She parked her car by some railroad tracks and headed into the woods. She'd chosen an area known as the San Juan Mountains. These mountains were rugged and beautiful, but they were also dangerous. There were steep drops, loose rocks, and very little cell service. Still, Diana wasn't concerned. She unzipped her tent and stepped outside. She greeted the new day with a big smile. Diana could see that her tarp hadn't ripped in the wind. Her tent was intact, and the fire pit was covered with debris. Other than a few wet sticks, everything was fine, and it looked like the storm had scared off any animals who might have wanted to take her food. So far, it's the biggest mystery in Colorado's San Juan Mountains. There were plenty of people who liked to drive around these parts, and sometimes they would never be seen again. But there was something strange about Diana's car. They were hoping to find some clue as to why she had disappeared, but no one had any idea. In fact, everyone was shocked when they heard that Diana had been camping alone. There weren't any footprints leading away from the site either, only the ones leading in. Diana's car had been found 7 miles away, but it would have taken her at least 4 hours to hike there. Why would she leave her car and hike all the way back to her tent, then disappear? What happened to Diana Renner? Make sure to stay tuned for more crime content. Have a great day. She was very experienced with the outdoors, so it didn't seem that she'd gotten lost or injured. The police were baffled. Why would Diana leave her car and hike back to her tent? Where did she go? In recent years, hikers have come across Diana's tent once more, though they always return it to its original place. It's as if Diana is still out there waiting for someone to find her. And why did she bring her dog if she knew she was going to be gone for a while? Some believe that Diana was trying to escape her everyday life. She may have wanted to disappear and live out in the wilderness. Others think that she had a secret admirer. Someone may have followed Diana to her campsite and then attacked her. This theory seems unlikely, however, because none of her things were disturbed, and there was no sign of a struggle. The truth is, no one knows what happened to Diana. It was parked perfectly in the middle of the road. At first, the police thought that she'd broken down. They searched the surrounding areas, but they couldn't find her anywhere. They even brought in search dogs, but they came back with nothing. After a while, they gave up. It seemed that Diana had vanished into thin air. Diana couldn't have asked for a better morning. Diana would never go this long without calling her mom. Something was definitely wrong. The police returned to the mountains to begin a full-scale search. This time, hundreds of volunteers joined them. A hiker had found something strange on a trail. It was Diana's tent. The police rushed to the scene and discovered that the tent was completely intact. It looked like Diana had simply pitched it and then run away. Next to it was her backpack and all of her supplies. And not far from there, the police found her boots. Everything appeared to be in order. It almost looked like Diana had packed up her things and left. For weeks, they scoured the mountains, looking for any sign of Diana. But the only thing they found was her car. It was obvious that Diana hadn't been kidnapped. She'd willingly left her car and headed into the wilderness. But why? And where did she go? She'd hiked here before and knew what she was doing. She missed them very much and wished she could share her delicious meal with them. As she ate, Diana thought about how happy she was. This was exactly the break she needed. The only thing missing was some fresh fruit. Diana finished her breakfast and began packing up. She carefully folded her blankets and made sure her cooking supplies were clean. Before she left, Diana walked around the tent to make sure she hadn't forgotten anything. She even checked under the tarp just to be sure. When she was satisfied that she had everything, she zipped up her tent and carried it toward her backpack. It was nothing out of the ordinary for the young woman. Diana took her time, though, because she wanted to enjoy the scenery. Work would be busy, but now she was refreshed. She stopped at a gas station and got $5 worth of fuel. She paid at the counter and returned to her car. That was the last time anyone saw Diana alive. She thought about stopping for some ice cream, but ultimately decided against it. Instead, she began driving through the small towns near the mountains. Diana figured she'd get some gas and maybe find a place for lunch. Little did she know that her peaceful weekend was about to become someone else's nightmare. When she finally reached her car, it was just after 1 p.m. Diana unlocked the doors and got in. She took a deep breath and smiled.
Ow.
She'd had a wonderful couple days. Diana loved spending time outdoors and would often go on solo hikes. But this time she planned on staying longer than usual. Diana wanted to pitch a tent and camp out for a few days. She had picked the perfect spot, too. Diana had driven down a dirt road near the town of Silverton, Colorado. At around 9 a.m., Diana sent a text message to her mom letting her know that she'd made it. "Setting up camp now," the message read. "Feels peaceful." She opened up her backpack and began pulling out her supplies. She had a can of soup and some bread. As she ate, Diana looked around her camp. She was happy with how things were going. In fact, she decided to treat herself to something special. Diana poured some wine into a cup and toasted to being alive. Diana had reached a clearing, and it really was peaceful. It began to rain lightly and Diana had to put her fire out. She started to worry that she hadn't strung up her tarp correctly. Diana went inside her tent and snuggled up with her dog. The two waited out the storm until it was time to sleep. The trees created a natural shelter overhead, and the ground was covered with soft grass. Diana put her backpack down and got to work. She collected sticks and stones and soon had a fire pit. Then she pulled out her tent and sleeping bag. It didn't take long at all for her tent to be pitched, and everything neatly organized. Diana even managed to start a small fire. Soon she was boiling water over the flames. After a couple hours, Diana felt hungry. But as the night went on, the weather took a turn. The next morning, the sun was shining again, and the rain had stopped. Diana woke up feeling great. She quickly got to work on breakfast. Diana Rum Family Farm. Now that everything was packed, Diana set off down the mountain. She whistled a tune as she walked. The hike back down was easy. As she drove home, Diana began thinking about the week ahead. By 2:45 p.m., Diana had reached the town of Silverton. That night, Diana never returned home. No one knows what happened to her. When Diana's car was found, it wasn't unusual at first. 2 days later, Diana's mom called the police and reported her missing. By this time, everyone was very concerned. The police interviewed everyone in Diana's life. They spoke to her friends, coworkers, and family. Then 5 days after Diana disappeared, the police received a phone call. Search dogs picked up Diana's scent at the tent, but they lost it within 20 feet. To this day, the police have no answers. All they have are questions. Locals still talk about the case and call it the silent disappearance. What do you think happened to Diana? Was she abducted or did she plan to disappear? Let me know your thoughts. Thank you for watching.